Morning, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I know you have a lot of important stuff to do. We appreciate you sharing an hour with us. Today in this session, Unleash Next Level of Customer Service, we'll share with you our experiences in building these copilots, our experience in using agents within our own company, as well as with our customers. My name is Sundar Raghavan. I'm the VP of Products at Dynamics 365 Customer Experience. Soon on the stage, my colleague Edgar and Daniel Pickworth will join me. I think all of us can relate to this as customers primarily. When a company provides a connected experience that makes you go across sales, marketing, and support journeys, particularly within support, as you move through the channels, that the company recognizes who you are, keeps the context in place, and gives you a holistic customer experience. In fact, we now have data from McKinsey that shows companies that provide connected customer experience, their top line improves by 2 times. That's an important motivation. We've all talked about AI driving productivity for humans. Here, we are showing that by creating connected experience with AI, you can actually improve your top line results. That's an important key takeaway for you to think about. While we are excited about that outcome, the current state of affairs in contact centers and customer service is anything but simple. 77% of customers like us, you and I, feel frustrated when they go down the path of self-service, whether it's a bank or a packaging company or a retailer that you call in, you end up with often disconnected experiences, insufficient responses. You also know that on the other side, customer service agents are struggling with multiple systems. On an average, in most contact centers, support representatives are dealing with somewhere between 3 to 5 different systems. We call this a swivel chair operation. They take notes in one place, they move over to check warranty in another place, and so on and so forth. And even worse, for contact center operators and supervisors, timely insights on call volume, agent productivity, customer sentiment, those things are not available. That's all about to change. Part of the reason why it's about to change is generative AI is a transformational technology. It comes in once in a generation that allows us to reimagine the end-to-end workflow. It is not just about adding a piece here or a piece there. It's about fundamentally crafting the experience very differently for each customer, each employee, each supervisor. And we will show you everything that we show you is available in production. It is going to be available for preview. We are using it so you can take advantage of those technologies and reimagine customer service for your businesses. The way we are approaching this is to provide an end-to-end solution complete for you to get started. You don't have to use all the pieces. You can take the specific portions that are suitable for you. But once you are on a journey, these independently adaptable components allow you to get to the full picture. On the left, you see you can provide your customers a channel of engagement of their choice. It can be multi-channel as well. They can start their journey in text or a live chat, and then go to voice, and then come back and write an email. Their journey would be all available in the omni-channel experience. Those channels are powered with intelligent assistants right behind them. Should an escalation be required, a human with the right skill, with the full context, will be connected. That's what unified routing does. It's AI powered. It will do its job without you having to manage complex sets of rules, hundreds or thousands of them. Your representatives are equipped with the most current knowledge your company has, and as you go through it, each time they engage with a customer, the knowledge gets continuously updated. Finally, for supervisors and operators and administrators, you have an end-to-end visibility with real-time data available to them at their fingertips. All of this is powered by and surrounded with generative AI from the ground up. We'll show you during our demonstration. You can see it for yourselves. Everything that we have works, and it's ready to scale. As part of our journey, in July, we announced Dynamics 365 Contact Center. This is our multi-channel, omni-channel solution that allows you to transform service operations and service experiences for your customer. You can provide a Copilot first experience across multiple channels. You can pick and choose the channels you want. All the channels are in one place. And anything that you create as a rule or a self-service experience is available across channels. You don't have to rewire them every single time. So you can literally go and take out the patchwork that has happened in contact centers, live chat through one product, voice through another product, messaging through another product, start harmonizing them, coalescing them around one solution that gives you the end-to-end experience. When you do that, you can start to deliver effortless self-service for your customers using their channel of choice. From Apple Business Messaging to WhatsApp to live chat, all of this is available on the digital side, and so are voice experiences. While self-service is the primary modality of reducing the effort and time it takes for a customer to find an answer to their question, oftentimes an expert agent is required, and that we can bring an accelerated experience from an assisted service perspective through Copilot. Within the contact center product, we also give you real-time dashboards and diagnostics so that your contact center operators can keep the efficiency of the contact center in full swing. Let me share with you an experience. One of our top customers, Lenovo, what they have done to transform their customer experience, and what were specific business metrics that they were able to achieve in this experience. Let me play the video.
Premier Support Service gives our enterprise customers direct access to advanced support agents so that they can get faster resolution and more productivity. We wanted to make the wait time shorter and give our customers more self-service options.
The business outcomes and customer is the core, what we focus on.
This is an easy decision to bring in Dynamics 365 Contact Center. The addition of generative AI has transformed the way we support our customers.
Copilot draws on millions of historical service interactions to help support agents find the best solution. Support agents can open new support tickets much faster than before, can spend less time gathering and reviewing information, and more time with their customers.
We are combining Microsoft with our own Lenovo experience, which is making a win-win situation for us internally and for our customers.
After deploying the contact centers, our customer satisfaction went up. The outcome of agent productivity has also been improved by 15%. The average handling time has fallen by 20%.
Implementing Dynamics 365 contact centers is help us to direct, connect, and serve our customer. This platform implementation is a crucial part in our transformation journey.
Hope you enjoyed that video. 20% improvement in average handle time is nothing to be sneezed at. Every single minute saved in average handle time directly drives to the bottom line benefit. Along with that, improved customer satisfaction by 15%. Those are impressive metrics. Let's continue. AI is fundamentally changing the way we work. Gone are the days when we have to look up for information, keep it in our own notes and SharePoints and other things. What is really happening in the industry, and that we are seeing evidence of that in all our customers, is how AI is changing service from a future perspective. We used to think about service representatives as a bank of contact center agents sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder on headsets. With the advent of Copilots, that changed. Copilot helped service representatives to become more productive by bringing knowledge that they need at the point of engagement with the customer. Now, as part of that continuous journey, how things are changing is service representatives will now become overseers of autonomous agents and copilots that not only bring information, but makes them productive and do multiple tasks, multiple conversations at the same time. You will see all of that demonstrated next when my colleague comes up. Within the context of agents, there is a spectrum of it. On one side, you have the simplest autonomous agent from a retrieval augmentation perspective. The agent will go fetch the right relevant articles, bring the summary or snippet of it, and provide the right reference links for the support agents. On the other side, you also see individual tasks being automated, whether it's a form fill or a case create or a case close. Those are task-related agents. Further down the road, you will see complete autonomous agents that can actually engage a customer conversation, take notes for simple routine inquiries that a human can supervise and approve, and that will bring a new level of productivity. We are on this journey going from retrieval augmentation to task automation to autonomous case enablement. You will see that demonstrated based on your need. You can pick and choose how you see that applied to your organization. In short, you will see this transformation play out in your contact centers from individual human-led customer engagement to Copilot-led human-reviewed. Human reviews the actions by Copilot and agents. Self-service and knowledge automation leading to always evergreen content that can be used in all channels and all engagements. Repetitive toil or engagements that require you to take a lot of copious notes as a contact center representative, that changes to supercharged, super empowered, autonomous agent-enabled contact center representatives. You will see this productivity play out. We are excited to introduce to you 3 autonomous agents. First on the list, available for preview in December 2024, is a customer intent agent. What this agent will allow you to do is to engage with your customers in a channel of their choice, and through the dialogue, determine the intent of the inquiry by conducting an intent interview. It will use all prior conversations. It will use available knowledge to determine the right intent and create intent groups that can belong to the company. With this technology, over time, you don't have to pre-build individual IVR trees and dialogue trees and so on. The system can start managing intent on its own. It is backed by a customer knowledge management agent that keeps the organizational knowledge evergreen. One of the biggest pain points in most companies is knowledge becomes stale as product evolution matures, and knowledge is buried in the heads of specialized experts. We have now combined the two so that every advanced representative-enabled conversation, we extract that knowledge, we make it available, we update it so that these two can keep an evergreen flow of information. Those two are available in our Dynamics 365 Contact Center product. Along with that, we have also introduced case management agent. What that allows individual representatives to do is to have an autonomous agent work in the background from conversations, extract vital information, fill out all the forms, create case notes. Human is always available to review and approve, edit, but majority of the task of typing and looking up information can be automated. You will see that in demonstration. That is available as part of Dynamics 365 Customer Service. All 3 agents are available as part of D365 Customer Service. The first 2 are available as part of Contact Center. The first 2 products are available in public preview starting in December. You can get your hands on it. And starting in February, we'll have the case management available as well. We'll show all of that to you today. With that, let me invite my colleague, Edgar.
Thank you, Sundar. All right, give me just a second here. All right, is everyone seeing my screen? Awesome. So before we get started, the main thing that we want to show you with respect to how you would actually administer your intents as well as your knowledge is the fact that we'll go ahead and click here, and you'll see that we have a previous conversation. So the customer intent agent is able to learn over time from conversations and actually distill down interview questions. So in this particular case, you can see we have a conversation. The customer is complaining about the bad taste of the coffee. The agent actually asks a series of questions to get to the bottom of what the customer issue is. So first, with the knowledge management agent, we can click here on knowledge articles, and you'll notice that as we have our listing of articles, this was created by Copilot. So as you're actually going through and helping a customer with a case, this learns on the back end and actually can create knowledge base articles, as well as provide the ability to update knowledge base articles. So I'll click here on resolving bitter coffee taste in 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗻𝗄 machine, and you can see here we have our knowledge base article. Now, let's transition to the intent agent. So not only is it able to mine that conversation to create knowledge base articles, it can also create intents. So we'll go here into our intent library, and you can see here we have a set of intents which were actually sourced based on an AI model. So again, self-learning over time from conversations and the ability to create interview questions. So I'll click on coffee machine troubleshooting, and you'll see that we have our top level intent and then the intents within it. So in this particular case, let's just say poor coffee taste, and the attributes that were actually mined from that original conversation are now able to be used by chatbots, by IVR, or by the agent themselves, and we'll show you what this actually looks like. So let's go into a customer use case, and I'm Claudia in this particular case, and I have a question about my coffee tasting bitter. So one thing to note is that you didn't have to actually go about creating the topics within a bot. It's able to learn directly from those intents. So not only can you use them in agent-assisted service use cases, you can also use them with the bot. So the bot will actually ask questions based on those intents. So in this case, it's asking, we see that you're experiencing poor coffee taste. Have you recently changed the brand of coffee beans? No change in coffee beans. And it can go through and actually ask all of the interview questions to get to the bottom of what the customer's issue is. So we'll go ahead and continue, and asking what type of water. And not only can it get to the bottom of the customer's issue, it can also flag knowledge base articles that it found that will help to solve the customer's issue. So you can see here we have that knowledge base article that was shown earlier, as well as the citation. So where did this actual knowledge base article come from? So that helped me to solve my questions. So yes, thank you. But I'm also seeing a malfunction with my grinder. So let's go ahead and get this customer escalated to an agent. So we'll go ahead and click there. And now I'm shifting my focus to Kristen, who's the agent. And you can see here we have that chat request that came from the customer. And I'll go ahead and accept that. Now, a few things that you'll notice within the agent console. You have the full transcript of everything that's transpired to this point in the conversation with the bot. So I'm able to see all of the communications that took place beforehand. I'm also able to see an AI-generated summary. So let's say the customer has been chatting with the bot, and I need to get up to speed very quickly on what the issue is. There's an AI-generated summary that provides all of the details of the conversation directly here for the agent. And also, most importantly in this screen, is our case management agent. So it's gone ahead and created a case. So it's entered the product, which you can see here, the subject, the case status, as well as the title and type. So taking tons of time away from the agent having to create this case from scratch, it actually listens to the conversation and can create cases directly for you within the agent console. So huge productivity gains with the case management agent. So let's go ahead and continue. I'll go ahead and chat with the customer. So my name is Kristen. Looks like you're having some issues with the grinder in your Smart Brew 3000. How can I help? And let me click through. One thing you'll notice over to the right is we have our interview questions. So in those intent-based suggestions to provide next best action, to the agent so they know what questions to ask to get to the bottom. So very similar to what you saw in the chatbot experience, but now we're empowering our agents with those same tools. So here it already knows which product this is, the Smart Brew 3000. And you'll notice over in the bottom left, I don't have to actually type anything. The intent-based suggestions will autofill all of the communication. So as an agent, this again gives me huge productivity gains. And I'll go ahead and say, okay, what was the error you're receiving? And you'll also notice that it actually inputs what the parameters are or what the customer came back with. And have you made any recent change or adjustments to your coffee grinder? And that is a recent adjustment, so it mines what the conversation is with the customer and provides that intent-based suggestion. And Copilot is also at the ready. So you can see it's gotten to the bottom of what the issue is and has found a knowledge base article that will help to solve the customer's issue. So again, a ton of really great intent-based suggestions that were able to get me to the bottom of what this customer's issue was. So I'll go ahead and send this over to the customer. And thanks, really appreciate it. Now, one thing I want to note, if you keep your eye on this center screen here, once I end this conversation, you'll notice that the case has been updated automatically. So again, it listened to the conversation and is able to input the correct fields into the case. Now let's switch gears to showing some other use cases that you can use the intent agent and the knowledge management agent. So first, I'm in my agent inbox and it's providing me with suggested actions that I should take to help solve customer issues. So here I see one that says propose a knowledge base article. So I'll click on that. And you'll see a suggested action or a next best action, as it's often referred to, provide me with a note that says, hey, a knowledge article has been drafted based on the information in this case. So taking the heavy lifting out of having to create cases or knowledge base articles on the fly for you. And I can go ahead and review the draft of that and make any necessary updates. You can also leverage Copilot to describe what type of updates you would want to make to this particular knowledge base article. So I'll go ahead and mark this as reviewed and publish. So in seconds, I've been able to create a full-fledged knowledge base article that can now start to help my customers. Now let's go ahead and transition to another facet of the case management agent. So here we have the fact that we need to send a next follow-up. So I've contacted this customer. I haven't received a response from this customer at this point. So it's saying, hey, if there's no response from the customer until the scheduled SLA time is reached, send a follow-up. So it can automatically create follow-up emails directly within the agent console. So as you can see here, we have our draft email that will go out. It's been able to pull information from the case, from the customer, from the previous conversations to provide a full-fledged email that I can send over to the customer asking if there's anything I can do to help with their issue. I also can leverage Copilot to help draft this email. So if I wanted to change the tone or add any additional information into that, I could easily do that with Copilot. The draft looks good, so we'll go ahead and send that over to the customer. And lastly, we have resolve case. So this is another facet of the case management agent where hey, we haven't received a response from the customer, so we need to go ahead and close out this case. So here I can directly preview this, and you'll notice that it adds a resolution on the fly where I didn't have to actually do that directly within the agent experience. So again, a ton of productivity gains that you get from both the intent-based agent, the knowledge management agent, and the case management agent. And again, all of these, or intent agent and knowledge agent, go into preview in December, and case management agent goes into preview in February. So with that, we'll actually transition back to our slides. And one other solution that is going into preview is our knowledge bases with Copilot. So essentially what this provides is the ability to connect up to third-party knowledge sources in order to leverage it with Copilot. So if I wanted to access Confluence data to train my Copilot on suggested actions or suggestions to help solve a customer's issue, I can do that directly with knowledge bases with Copilot. So again, this goes into preview as well in December and provides a ton of benefits. Instead of having to connect up to third-party data through a means of integration or anything like that, you would be able to directly do that with knowledge bases for Copilot. And with that, we'd like to invite Daniel Pickworth to the stage, and we will be doing a fireside chat where we can find out some interesting information on how Microsoft is leveraging Copilot.
Good to see you, Edgar.
Yeah, nice to see you.
I think we see each other more on the road.
Yeah, more on the road than, yeah, but hey, we're here. This is great. We've got a great crowd. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so Daniel, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you're responsible for at Microsoft.
Sure. So Daniel Pickworth, and I sit in our customer service and support organization at Microsoft. And I run a group called the Technology Strategy and Innovation Group. So effectively, all of the technology decisions that we make relative to customer service and support are my responsibility. So we think about things like infrastructure, security, and certainly AI.
Okay, awesome. So tell us more about the customer service and support organization. What are your goals and some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, and I think we have some stats I'll share. There's quite a few I wanted to bring along. But effectively, as you would imagine, Microsoft, our customer service organization, is pretty large. We've got about 40,000 support engineers globally, about 92 contact centers or so that serve our customers. And ultimately, we're serving about 1 billion consumers within a year. And that includes commercial as well as the consumer space. And this is from everything from Xbox to Azure. So it's a pretty large corpus of types of support cases and complexity we get. And we have around, I think, 100 million calls every year. We get about 200 million emails and somewhere around 30 million chats a year. So a lot of interactions,
Absolutely.
A lot of customers, and a pretty wide range. Mm-hmm. And we've been on a journey for many years, just around infrastructure in general. We're a dynamic shop. And over the last, really sort of a year ago was the end of a portion of our journey, really to get to a single incident management system. And we use the same incident management system, Dynamics, that is available to any customer. We don't use a custom implementation of that. We're not using any kind of new unknown sort of version of that. We use really quite a vanilla instance, which is a proud moment for us because we're helping to enhance the product. And it's been quite the journey over the last 18 months as we've really gotten into Copilot and done a bunch of work there. We've deployed a number of capabilities from case summarization, which allows our agents to get up to speed really quickly on cases, allows our managers to really understand what's happening within a case as they go and review. And then we have other capabilities like Answer Assist, used heavily in the organization. Answer Assist really brings kind of that knowledge into a more conversational pane for our support engineers to be able to interact. And then draft email, draft chat, really enabling our support engineers to focus on professional communications that are contextualized to the case that they can use to help communicate. And we're piloting some interesting things in FY25, which you shared, and excited to talk about that in a minute. But the other component of us really kind of going on this journey is the people. In support, one of our biggest assets is our people, our support engineers. They're the ones who take the calls. They help customers who are frustrated. They do an incredible amount for our organization. And we're always interested in how do we reduce toil, how do we make their jobs better. And we focused a lot on the community of support engineers and agents across the organization. We've done a lot to invest there. And we really try to enlist our folks in the process of helping us go on the journey around AI and with the Copilot capabilities, with the autonomous agents that we're talking about. And you know, we also try to enlist those skeptics, those folks who say, well, you know, I don't really believe in this, or I'm not really sure. Like, please come, tell us what you don't believe in, tell us what you don't like. We want your opinion. We think you can help us shape the product. Absolutely. And our enthusiasts. We have so many people who have great ideas, and you know, Sundar was up here earlier. He regularly sits with our support engineers and really watches how we work. And so we're very fortunate to have an incredible community of folks who really have been along on the journey with us. Absolutely. And are just really excited about the things that we're going to go do in the future.
And that's a great segue. So you've been a leader and early adopter when it comes to generative AI and the usage of Copilot in particular. How was the implementation of generative AI? How has that impacted customer support experiences for your service reps, and also, most importantly, for your customers?
Yeah, it's had a tremendous impact on a number of things. I mean, just hard data. We look at, you know, let's take for example first the number of chats that we can simultaneously handle. We get about a 9 to 12% increase we've seen in several businesses in terms of the total number of chats that one individual support engineer can handle. We've seen roughly about a 20% reduction in misroutes. So where a case ends up going to the wrong person, we got to get that back to the right person, and which is huge because getting the case off to the right start by going to the right person is a massive undertaking. And it really gets you off on the right foot, helps you throughout the entire case lifecycle, frankly. The other component we see is a 13% reduction in collaborations. So where a given support engineer gets to a topic or an adjacent issue that is beyond their education or their knowledge, they can use AI to help them supplement. And in those cases, they actually can find a solution versus having to reach out to a different support engineer and say, hey, I need some help, which is huge. And then, you know, lastly, we see about a 12 to 14% increase decrease in the handle time, an improvement or a decrease in the handle time. So we're solving cases more expediently, which is great. You know, it's a win-win in terms of, you know, customers like high quality, expedient support, and it helps the agents as well. They can get to more things. They can really work on some of those harder issues. And again, in FY25, we're doing a number of really cool things that we're excited to get into.
Absolutely. Those are phenomenal and incredible outcomes that you've already seen. But you haven't stopped there. So tell us a bit about the next step in your journey with AI. What's next, and how's the team evolving?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think we've made such good progress enabling agents, support engineers to really have these utilities that are available to them, and it's obviously made a big difference. But our goal is really, how do we start to move to this position where these simple issues, the less complex things, we can really take off their plate. That's kind of the goal, is our people, our best asset, we want to leverage them for those really hard problems that are difficult to solve. Yeah. And so this is really kind of where the autonomous agents come into play. The customer intent agent, where not only are we getting better information about the intent that customers have as they come in, really it's also about making the experience better for customers. And experience is one of the most important things that we look at in terms of customer service and support. So the fact that we can go into this intent scenario, we can learn about what a customer is having an issue with, we can use the context that we already know about them, and then as you showed, right, this ability to surface self-help potential articles and information where a customer can say, yes, that works, or, nah, that didn't quite solve my issue. We can use all that. Yeah. And that intent goes back to that misroute figure that I shared with you. It's a massive gain to be able to get a case off on the right foot.
Right.
And then the knowledge harvesting agent, support changes frequently. And in the last 10 years, I've been at Microsoft for 18 years now, and in the last 10 years in particular, it has just gotten faster and faster and faster. And you know, to the point, trying to maintain that knowledge, that's a big job.
It is.
There is work that has to be done to, you know, continue to invest in some of the existing knowledge articles, content, and assets you have. But I think having this advantage of this knowledge agent is, it's going to be big. And then lastly, the case management agent is really incredibly helpful as we think about the beginning of a support case. There's so many repetitive, toilsome tasks for agent. Yeah. The follow-up activities, you know, you're managing a lot of concurrent cases. And so to have this ability to get those cues and that help through the follow-up and the life cycle massively reduces toil for our support engineers. Yep. And then finally, you know, this we talked about knowledge agent, we talked about intent, and then case management. Sorry, case management is the one where, you know, that reduction and that toilsome, that's just huge.
Yeah,
there's just, you know, so many repetitive tasks and that closure portion as well, where you've got QA, you've got follow-up. Engineers spend a lot of time in that space, and if we can take that off their plates, it's just it's a huge win. Yeah. So we're excited to get into it, and we're already piloting some things. It's been going great. Even our as we look at some of the areas where we're piloting the customer intent agent, we're seeing a pretty marked increase in the self-help effectiveness there. So that's really awesome. Exciting to see. Yeah. Helps our customers, helps our agents. So
yeah, that's awesome. So what early insights and learnings, which you shared a bit of those, but what are the productivity gains for support professionals and new agents, those that may not be as seasoned agents? How are they able to benefit from some of the Copilot and agentic capabilities?
Yeah.
Talk about.
Yeah, and you know, we're still piloting, so it's not quite to the point where we have a bunch of figures yet. But there's there's three core things I think about. One is we talk a lot about toil, right? Just the arduousness of you got to go here, you got to go there, and you know, we look very closely at agent feedback constantly as our support engineers give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down. They provide that feedback. We look very closely at that signal, and we're hearing clearly that our folks are ultimately seeing that benefit out of the reduction of toil. If we can take those activities off of their plate, we can we can do those things on their behalf. That ultimately helps them work more quickly. As I talked about, sort of in that win-win, you know, customers ultimately want expedient support. They want high-quality expedient support. So a time savings and automation there is a win for them, and it's a win for our customers. So lots of benefit. And then I think, you know, the other portion of it that's really meaningful is communication. You know, I talk to a lot of support engineers who have templates, they've been around for a long time, and then you also speak to the folks who are relatively new to the role. And it can be a tough job, especially when you're first coming in. And the ability to kind of have this help communicating is super meaningful. Support is all about communicating and communicating well. And so particularly for our newer agents, we see a ton of benefit in terms of helping them author emails and responses. And as you demonstrated, right, this ability to sort of take on some of those activities on their behalf, suggest things to them, communicating to customers, gleaning what they've communicated to us is huge. And then, you know, in terms of knowledge, we really think about this in terms of democratization. We've got so many excellent support engineers who have been around for a long time. We're doing tens of thousands of case interactions every single day. So if we can glean what's happening from a solution perspective in these cases, we can take that information knowledge and we can share that, both to the support engineers who are taking on work and you know, solving issues for customers, but also in terms of how we can surface that in things like the customer intent agent. That's a massive win because you're suddenly not in this position where you've got pockets of, one set of support engineers who are learning things. And yeah, it takes some time to get those sort of traditionally into knowledge articles and content that people can consume. And while it's gotten a lot better, certainly this knowledge management aid is going to really help us shorten that.
Awesome. Yeah, I bet. I mean, and we've talked offline about some of the productivity gains that you've seen. But looking ahead, what role do you see Copilot and the agent capabilities playing in contact center over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. This is always a difficult question to answer, but I think there's 3 things. Increasingly, it'll be interesting to see how these AI models play out. I think you're going to see this kind of economy happen where you've got sophisticated models that could do a number of really interesting things, but they're expensive to run all the time. And so you'll have to think about, and you'll have this ability to sort of manage like what models are used for which purposes, where you're doing regular kind of frequent things. You can use more economic models. And then where you've got to do more arduous tasks, you've got to take on some bigger things that are more complicated, you'll have an opportunity to sort of tune that to what economics you have in your organization. So I think that's going to be an interesting decision that if you're running a contact center, you're doing contact center tech, that's going to be a decision. Prompting, that's another one.
Oh, yeah.
We spend time on prompting, but I think you're going to see increasingly, and you're already seeing instances of where prompting is something that we'll have assistance with. You won't have to sort of go through a bunch of coursework to figure that out. You'll have that brought to you to some degree.
Awesome. Awesome. And you talked a little bit about the trends or development in this space that excites you. What unexpected use cases do you think we might see based on the agent features as well as Copilot?
That's an interesting question in terms of unexpected use cases. I don't know that it's unexpected, but when I think about all that we're learning and all we can gather in terms of knowledge and the articles and whatnot, I think you're going to start to see that proliferate to other roles.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised, right, and I talked to some of our customer success managers, we stay relatively close in the support organization. And so I think you're going to really see this desire for other roles start to glean kind of that same information and want to use some of those features and capabilities for their roles. And so interesting to go on that journey together. We'll see. Yeah,
it's exciting times. Well, Daniel, thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, so as we close out our session today, we wanted to talk about why you should choose Microsoft for your contact center. And there are really 3 main pillars. And the first being a comprehensive vision for service. So we're the only vendor that can provide a CRM, a CCaaS, generative AI throughout the life cycle of a support, whether it be self-service or assisted service. So if you're looking at vendor consolidation and getting on one platform to house all of your service needs, Microsoft is a great product for that. Also infused with Copilot end-to-end. So as you saw through the demonstrations and the talk track, we embed Copilot in every single facet of the solution. So whether it's self-service, whether it's agent-assisted service, IVR, Copilot is also there for routing. It's available throughout the product and something that we're head and shoulders above the competition when it comes to that. And then lastly, and most importantly, built for scalability and reliability. So we're built on the backbone of Azure, and we're a true native cloud solution. So if you're looking at scale, reliability, security being one of the main things that you're looking at when you're shopping a contact center solution, this has all of it. And with that, we'd like to talk about some of the call to action. So we talked a lot about the public preview. So again, customer intent agent goes into public preview in December, as well as customer knowledge management agent. And in February, case management agent goes into public preview. So we wanted to make mention of that. You can start using these tools today. We also provide free trials for our dynamic solution. So if you scan the QR code, that will take you to where you could actually access some of the trials. And we have a few other sessions lined up today that are going to be really great content. So there's a breakout session Thursday at 3:45. where my colleague Alan Ross will be doing reinventing employee help desk experiences with generative AI. So leveraging Dynamics Contact Center for help desk and HR type use cases. And then we also have another live demo session where we'll show the agentic or the agent capabilities that you just saw earlier today. And that will be at Tuesday at 5. So we look forward to seeing you there. And again, thank you all so much for your time.